Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video where I will be reviewing episode 5 of WandaVision. So, this episode was awesome and insane. So, there's very little to talk about without spoiling it, but I'll try. So just like all the other reviews, I'm going to start off with no spoilers, then I'm going to get into some spoilers after I give you a warning. So, let's get started with some no spoilers, where there's not too much to talk about without spoiling, but I can say that it does explain a lot more of what in the world is going on in this episode. And there are some parts of it that are jaw-dropping, especially the end. The ending kind of blew my mind. And it was awesome and unbelievable. Just the ending mostly is what made me like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I didn't really hate anything about this episode either. But yeah, I can't really think about what else to talk about without spoiling it. So I think we are going to get into some spoilers already. So if you haven't seen episode 5 of WandaVision, click away, because we're about to talk about some spoilers, and there are some big spoilers in this episode, so just a warning. I'll give you 3 seconds to click away. Now I'll start talking about some spoilers. So, I might forget to talk about some things, because there's just so much in this episode, so, but I'm gonna try. So I guess we'll get started. So towards the beginning, it starts off with like Wanda and the twins. The twins are babies. They're constantly crying, and her and Vision are getting annoyed. And something she does is she tries to use her powers. Wow, traffic jam again. She tries to use her powers to get the babies to stop crying, but that it doesn't work and they keep crying. And she says something kind of interesting. She says, why won't you do what I want? I think there's a reason for this. I think either her powers won't work on them because if it follows the comic books, they'll also be getting powers as well, or she's slowly starting to lose control of this world. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's something to that. And also, Agnes shows up to help get the babies to sleep because they won't stop crying. Vision is very suspicious of how she knows. She says she heard it, which I guess makes sense. They were crying pretty loudly, but still kind of suspicious. And whenever Agnes says she'll take a turn rocking the babies or holding the babies or whatever, Vision says, okay. Vision has all these questions and is hesitant. It's like, maybe we shouldn't. And then after that, Agnes is like, okay, what do I do now? She turns to Wanda and is like, should I do that again? Should we take it from the top? And then Wanda and her just like exchange glances, like, and Vision's like, what in the world is she talking about? And then Wanda just goes like, oh yeah, go ahead, rock the babies, and she does that. And Vision's like, what was that? That was weird. Wanda is pretending nothing weird happened at all for some reason. And it was kind of funny because it was kind of as if like an actor messed up in like a scene, and they're like, oh, I messed up my line. Should we do this again, take it from the top? So that's what it kind of was like. So that was very interesting. I'm very curious of what's going on with that. And then the intro was pretty good. It did feel like watching a sitcom, at least the parts that were sitcom. The rest of it, it definitely felt like it changed from a sitcom to an MCU movie, which was kind of cool. So it really did feel like watching an old sitcom, and whenever it changed to Sword outside the dome, then it really did feel like another It felt like watching an MCU movie, which is really cool.
You're a real hero.
So later on in the episode, we make it to Sword, and they're talking about Wanda in this dome, this sitcom world. And they talk about stuff like, they mention that Scarlet Witch, or Wanda, doesn't have her Scarlet Witch nickname yet. Because Hayward, I believe his name is like, doesn't she have like a weird, crazy nickname? And Jimmy Woo's like, no, she doesn't. She's just Wanda. And that's kind of alluding to that fact that she has never been called Scarlet Witch yet in the MCU. She will be, because, sorry if you hear my dogs. She will be, because Kevin Feige said that this is when she'll finally be called the Scarlet Witch. So, that was pretty interesting. And also, to continue with that,
the captain got
what he was explaining that Wanda actually stole Vision's body from a Sword place, which was kind of crazy. I believe it was theorized that she did that, but it's still kind of crazy that she did do that, because she stole the body and it was actually in pieces, it looks like, which is kind of weird. And they're probably like breaking him apart, trying to see, because he is an android, so they're probably like, okay, what can we use to make weapons and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird. And then back in the dome, Wanda is kind of careless with using her powers in front of Agnes. After they find Sparky the dog, they kind of are like that. So that makes me wonder, like, is she just tired of using her powers? Like, I don't know. I think there's a reason for that, but I can't think of why after 4 episodes she wants to keep her powers a secret from the other neighbors, and now all of a sudden she's like, whatever, who cares, I'm done hiding. After in episode 2 that we saw, she went through all that work to keep their identities a secret during the magic show. So that was kind of weird.
This job would be perfect.
So, yeah. Where's this person at? They're there. Anyway, continuing on with the episode.
Well, the cat's out of the bag.
I'm trying to catch this guy. Where'd he go? I lost him. Oh wait, he's over here? Yeah, I'm so confused. Where'd he go? Anyway, I'll just continue talking about the episode. Anyway, so we cut to Sword, and they're trying to figure out everything, and Monica thinks that they can find a way to break into the world, the sitcom world, and she says that she knows an aerospace engineer. I think I said that right. I can't remember, but she knows that kind of scientist who can help them out, and I am very curious of who that is. And there are a lot of theories going around. Like, some people say Mr. Fantastic's. It could be oh, I had another theory. I can't remember who my theory was. Oh, another theory I heard was Ironheart, because she will be getting her own Disney Plus series sometime in the future. It could be that Skrull that we saw her make friends with in Captain Marvel, because you remember when she was a little girl, her and the Talos' little girl became friends.
Can I help
so maybe that Skrull grew up to become a aerospace engineer. Or it could be talking about a ton of other people too. And also, the sitcom world is now being called the Hex, at least according to Darcy. And I think it's going to catch on, because recently I've been calling it the Hex as well, because I don't know what to call it. So I think that's kind of cool how they found to get a name, and it makes sense because hexagons were everywhere. So now we know that it's being called the Hex, at least according to Darcy. They They also mention how Scarlet Witch has to use, or Wanda, how she has to use a lot more power than she's ever used before to keep this hex, working, because she's never showed this much power before, except for when she fought Thanos, and that was only for a short time. And this is alluding to the fact that she is going to become the most powerful person in the MCU. I almost said most powerful Avenger, but the way things are looking, I'm not sure if that will be the case. But we'll talk more about that later. Anyway, yeah, they mention how she has to use a lot more power, which is kind of weird, seeing how we haven't seen her use that much power since Endgame, when she attacked Thanos, which they also talk about. Monica says that Wanda did almost beat Thanos, and she probably could have killed him by herself, but Thanos did what she called the Blitz, which when he had the rockets rain down on her, which stopped her. And she says no one else came close. And then Jimmy Woo says, I'd argue that Captain Marvel came close. And then Monica, I don't know how to explain it, but she like made this face. She's like, I don't know. It definitely seems like she's not too happy with Captain Marvel right now, and I don't know why. But for her, it's been since the 90s. From the 90s to the 2020s decade. So that's a pretty long time of not seeing each other. So who knows what could have happened in that time area or space.
And a main character isn't here to see it. Do we really cross?
Ooh, that's actually a good question.
Come on, come get some Kamala.
Anyway, like I was talking about, it also is kind of funny how Wu mentions this, because I remember going up into Endgame, they were constantly promoting Captain Marvel like, oh, she's the most powerful Avenger, she's the most powerful character in the MCU, she could kill Thanos by herself, she's going to be a huge part of Endgame, she's going to be a big part of defeating Thanos. But she did almost nothing in Endgame. Like, she showed up in the beginning, which was awesome. She kind of helped beat him in the first time. Then she was gone almost the entire movie to the final battle. And now they changed their minds, I guess, and now they're saying how Scarlet Witch is the most powerful person in the MCU. So I thought it was kind of funny how Wu mentioned that, seeming how they were like, oh, she's the most powerful person, and now they're like, Scarlet Witch is. Also, Darcy mentions that her powers came from an Infinity Stone, which they did. Her and her brother got their powers, well, by getting experimented on by Hydra with the Space Stone in Loki's staff, which, at least that was, they only had it like that because of deals with like Fox and stuff like that and all that copyright stuff. But now that they own Fox, they could easily change that and be like, oh, the stone only awakened their powers. They had it since the beginning because they're X-Men or they're mutants. But as of right now, they only were experimented on.
Wow, the guys are never gonna.
And then they say that what's her name? Captain Marvel also got her powers from an Infinity Stone too, because she got it from the Space Stone. I'm sorry, I messed up. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver got their powers from the Mind Stone, and Captain Marvel got her powers from the Space Stone. Sorry, I messed that up by accident. So, and she's like, oh yeah, Captain Marvel got her powers from a stone too, and Monica's like, we're not talking about her right now. We're talking about Wanda. So I think something definitely happened, because she does not seem to want to talk about Wanda at all. Or, sorry, not Wanda, I'm messing up a lot today. She does not seem to want to talk about Captain Marvel at all, which doesn't make any sense. And then, skip a little bit forward in the episode. We're in the sitcom world. We're in the Hex. Vision's at his work, and I guess he has this power to touch people's temples and, I don't know, awaken them from their mind control, I guess. It's because he touches Norm's temples, and then Norm's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What day is it? What's going on? Oh my gosh, this is like torture. I need to call my family. Make her stop. Please make her stop. And then Vision puts him back under his control because I don't know why. He's probably just freaking out too, which was unbelievable. So something funny is that he says make her stop. He doesn't say who the her is. So immediately people are probably gonna be like, oh, Wanda, duh. But what if he's not talking about Wanda? Because he only said her. Which her? Agnes is a theory going around. Maybe it's her. Maybe it's someone else we haven't been introduced to yet in the MCU. Or maybe it's someone completely different. I don't know. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking too much into this. And it is Wanda. But I think they would have had him say, make Wanda stop if it was Wanda. Why would they say, make her stop if it... I don't know. I think there's a reason why he said her, not Wanda, so... yeah. And then, after Thor puts a drone in, and Hayward snuck a missile onto that drone, Wanda does something that was one of the two things that kind of blew my mind, because it changed what I thought about the show, what I thought was happening in the show, is that after she destroyed the drone, she opened up the dome to the Hex and walked out of it and threw the drone back at them, saying, hey, is this yours? That kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my goodness. So that proves she's not trapped. Now, I knew that she would enjoy this. I knew she'd be willing to stay there even if she was trapped. But I thought she couldn't get out. She just doesn't care that she can't get out. But she can get out. She really wanted to. Because she walks out, she throws the drone at them saying, hey, is this yours? She says, this is your first and final warning. Stay away from my home. You leave me alone, I leave you alone. And that was kind of insane. And then, as a final warning, she pulls a Magneto and turns the guns of the Sword Agents to point at Hayward. But notice how they only point at Hayward. This makes that crime a lot easier for me to believe. They only point their gun at Hayward. They don't point it... They don't point at Monica. They don't point it at Jimmy Woo or Darcy. They only point at Hayward. So, I don't think she's 100% crazy yet. I think she's getting there. But I think she knows that there are some people that aren't too bad, like Monica, Woo, and Darcy. So, yeah. And the commercial is also a pretty cool reference because it's Lagos. It's called Lagos. And if you remember, in Captain America Civil War, they had a mission in a place called Lagos. And it's at that place when Crossbones is about to blow up a bomb, Wanda puts them up in the air, so trying to avoid disaster, but it blows up, killing a bunch of people in a building, and it makes a mess she didn't mean to make, which is what the motto is for that commercial, for Lagos, for when you make a mess you didn't mean to make. So yeah. And then, something I found kind of weird was when Billy and Tommy lost Sparky, he ran away or whatever, and they run to the mailman, he's like, what's wrong? And they say, oh, Sparky ran away, and he's like, don't worry, your mom won't let him get far. Maybe this is nothing, maybe it's just like, oh, your mom loves you, she won't let your favorite pet get too far away. Or, maybe he knows something, he's like, oh, don't worry, she's in control, so of course she's not gonna let this happen. Why would she let this happen? So, but then again, I could still be wrong. I'm just looking way too much into this. And then after Sparky sadly does die, at least for now, unless it's like the comic books where he comes back to life.
Look up at the sky, I'll see a superhero.
If he dies,
what are the odds of that?
Wanda gives her kids a speech about being like, because I guess her kids know she can reverse death. I don't know how, but they know that. So they're like, Wanda, Mommy, why don't you bring Sparky back to life? And she gives him this whole speech about how you can't reverse the dead, and you have to just let go. Huh. Kinda should be giving yourself that advice, Wanda, because you're doing the exact same thing they want you to do, just with Vision instead of Sparky. Uh-huh. I see how you are. Okay. Moving on. After that, Vision starts questioning Wanda about the world they're in. And Wanda tries to finish the argument and stop his questions by rolling the sitcom credits. But that doesn't work. Instead, they argue, they face off, they float in the air. I'm not gonna lie, I thought we were getting another fight like in Civil War. I mean, I guess they didn't really like go at it, but they were still against each other and kind of fought. So I thought that's what we were getting. We didn't, but they did argue a lot. Vision said how like he thinks she's in control of everything. Norm, she needs to stop controlling Norm and everyone else. She asked why. Oh, that taxi driver just ran her over. He asked why there's no other kids in Rescue except for Wiccan and Speed, or Billy and Tommy. So, and then he also says how he can't remember his life before Rescue, which kind of sucks because that means he doesn't remember Age of Ultron, he doesn't remember Civil War, he also doesn't remember Infinity War. So, he doesn't remember being an Avenger and beating up Ultron and Thanos. Well, getting beat up by Thanos, actually. And that he was scared. And Wanda says, don't worry, I have this all under control and stuff like that. But he doesn't really trust her. So, yeah. Then after that, Wanda says that she doesn't know where they came, how they got there in the first place. And now she might be lying, but there's a chance that she's telling the truth. Because what if she is telling the truth? What if someone put her in this world and she just liked it so much and found out that she can control it and was like, okay, this is my world now. I don't know how it got here, but I don't care. So, or maybe she's lying and she created this place. And then someone knocks at the door. Who is it? It is Quicksilver. But not, I believe his name is Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played him in Age of Ultron. It's not him. It's the guy who played him in the Fox X-Men movies, that being Evan Peters. I know, right? No one's surprised. Like, that wasn't surprising at all. Wait, are you telling me you didn't see that coming? Okay, fine, I didn't see that coming either. That was the best part in that episode for me, because that was insane. I just thought that was so awesome and so insane. I was just like, oh my gosh, my mind is blue. But there are so many possibilities. There's like so many possibilities, because there's one, maybe he is the same Quicksilver we saw in Age of Ultron. They just use this as an excuse to recast him. Or maybe this is him from the X-Men universe and they're going to use the multiverse to bring some actors from the original X-Men into this. Or maybe he's not real at all. Or maybe he's a villain pretending to be her brother. Maybe. I don't know. All I know is that was insane, and I am very curious what is going on and what will happen with Quicksilver coming up next. And Darcy even says, oh my gosh, she recast Pietro? And that was funny. So I am really curious as to what is going on with Quicksilver. That is the biggest thing making me want to watch the next episode. I mean, I'll just watch the next episode no matter what. But that really made me like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do with Quicksilver? So, it was insane in my opinion. I can't wait to see what happens next. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see what's going on next. So, thank you for taking the time to watch. If you like this video, please hit like. If you want to see more videos like this, I have more WandaVision reviews. I'm hoping to do more reviews in the future. I play games like Marvel's Avengers, Fortnite as Marvel characters, and stuff like that. If you want to see more videos like that, please consider hitting subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I post and go live, so you don't miss out on any content. And before we go, what did you think of this episode of WandaVision? Did you like it, hate it, think it was okay? Did you see that coming when Evan Peters came in as Quicksilver instead of Aaron Taylor Johnson? Or were you like, oh my stinking goodness, it's Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men world? Let me know. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to watch, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.